may have our differences, but we do well in times like these to remember that everyone who serves in our nation's capital is here because, above all, they love our country.
President Trump asking for unity following this morning's shooting of a congressman. Right now, an investigation is underway after several GOP congressional members were ambushed as they practiced for a charity baseball game. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Rake.
And I'm Felicia Lee. Here's what we know. 5 people were shot, including the House Majority Whip. Capitol Police returned fire and killed the suspect. Let's get the very latest from NBC's Jay Gray.
Just after 7 this morning.
Shots being fired, and there are people running, possibly victims involved.
The rattle of gunfire replaces the crack of a bat.
I still got shots being fired.
An attack on Republican congressmen as they practiced for a charity baseball game.
We were doing batting practice, and all of a sudden we heard shots, and it was clear pretty quickly that there was a shooter there with a high-powered rifle.
Police say that shooter was 66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson, a man with a violent criminal history. Witnesses say he sprayed the field with bullets, firing dozens of rounds.
He was crouched behind a wooden piece of the stands, and he had a AK-47.
At least 5 people were hit.
There was no one down. I think it was a total of 5 down. And the problem don't even know that.
Among the wounded, House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. As a member of congressional leadership, he had a security detail, Capitol Police, who rushed in, engaged in a firefight that lasted several minutes.
The security detail saved a lot of lives.
Hodgkinson died as a result of wounds from the gun battle. Federal agents are now searching his home in Belleville, Illinois, and remain at the scene of the attack, trying to piece together how and why it happened. Jay Gray, NBC News, Alexandria, Virginia.
And coming up on KOMU 8 News at 6 o'clock, we're live in Belleville, Illinois, the suspect's hometown.
At least 4 people are dead after a shooting at a UPS warehouse and customer service center in San Francisco. A company spokesman says the UPS employee opened fire on employees this morning before turning the gun on himself. Authorities say the shooter was one of the 4 who was killed. UPS officials say at least 4 others were injured and 3 patients are still in the hospital.
New information in the Flint, Michigan water crisis. The head of Michigan's health department is among 5 people charged with involuntary manslaughter. 12 people have died since cost-cutting contaminated the city's tap water with lead. That water might have contained another danger, Legionnaire's disease. 100 people contracted the illness in 2014 and 2015. A dozen died.
But this investigation is about the families of Flint, the moms and dads who wanted to give their child a cool drink of water yesterday. It was 90 degrees, but didn't because they were fearful of the water.
The criminal charges were announced earlier today.
A $70,000 reward and a nationwide manhunt is underway for 2 Georgia inmates who escaped from custody. Authorities say the inmates killed 2 guards and are believed to be armed, dangerous, and desperate. 43-year-old Donnie Rowe was serving life behind bars, and a 24-year-old Ricky DuBose was serving a 20-year sentence. They were on a prison transport bus, and a security camera caught the murders of 2 prison guards. Authorities say the 2 inmates stole a car and broke into a home. We have a few storms popping up right now. Let's send it over to Tori for a look at the latest.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Tori, thank you very much. Today, abortion rights supporters and opponents met at the Capitol to let their voices be heard. This after Governor Greitens called another special session. KOMU 8's Carla Valcourt has been talking to both sides and joins us live in Jefferson City with response.
KOMU 8 News.
Spring and summer are usually peak periods for cracking down on drunk driving. However, this July, state funding for sobriety checkpoints runs dry. KOMU 8's Finley Walker tells us how law enforcement hopes to continue drunk driving safety without the funding.
A Columbia man is in custody after police say he dragged a 15-year-old girl into his home and offered her money for sex. Police say the girl was walking around Sylvan Lane when Samuel Bonnerins approached her. Police say after some inappropriate comments, Bonnerins then grabbed the girl by her arm and pulled her into his home. He allegedly offered her $20 to have sex with her. She managed to get away and was not harmed. He now faces several charges, including kidnapping and sexual misconduct. The Camden County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man on Monday after a woman said she tried to light an RV on fire with her inside. The woman told authorities she was trying to get away from Wesley Dickey of Camdenton and locked herself inside an RV. The woman said she could smell smoke and was afraid he was trying to burn down the RV. That's when she called a neighbor for help, but said Dickey then assaulted the neighbor. Dickey is facing first-degree arson, third-degree assault, and resisting arrest. Mowing the lawn may be a common task for teenagers.
Absolutely. A Millersburg teenager is responsible for mowing more than a yard. It's a cemetery. KOMU8's Joey Schneider is live in Callaway County to tell us about a special project to honor Flag Day.
KOMU8 News.
Later in the show, residents are reacting to the London high-rise apartment building fire that killed 12 people.
Plus, South Korean farmers concerned about the U.S. anti-missile defense system. And you're taking a live look over Jefferson City on this Wednesday afternoon. It's 5:09. This is KOMU8 News, first at 5. Coverage you can count on.
A devastating high-rise fire out of London.
Up next, the survivor gives his account of what happened. That's next. 12 people are dead after a London high-rise apartment building fire last night. Residents say they didn't hear fire alarms. They say the first warning that something was wrong was shouting from the neighbors outside the apartment. A survivor described the scene.
Looking up and I could see little kids at the windows banging, screaming, flashing lights. So it was like something out of a horror movie.
Residents say there was no sprinkler system inside and only one stairwell to get out. It's not clear how many people were inside at the time. Fire crews say the building has 120 apartments. They're not sure how many tenants made it out alive. Demonstrators joined a weekly rally in South Korea today to protest the U.S. anti-missile defense system. Farmers worry the radar will damage melon crops and make the town a target of a North Korean attack. South Korea and the U.S. agreed to build the unit in response to North Korea's development of ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons. Today, the president of the Marshall Islands appealed to the European Union to persuade President Trump to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. Hilda Heine told EU lawmakers it's their job to educate the U.S. president of climate change. She says the Marshall Islands between Hawaii and the Philippines are on the front line of climate change. The European Commission president promised to help and criticized the U.S. and President Trump.
Some dentists may want to invest in a new type of technology. Why experts say virtual reality can help patients. That's next. On a trip to the dentist, you might wish you could just escape to the ocean, and with virtual reality, you can. A new British study says patients who walked on a virtual beach during dental procedures felt less anxiety and pain than those who got standard care. But these benefits did not hold for patients who walked around a virtual city, suggesting just distracting people is not enough to reduce the stress. The environment is what's important. Public health experts from Texas and Mexico are attending a two-day forum to address Zika and other mosquito-borne diseases. The forum aims to strengthen the cooperation between Mexico and the U.S. Texas and 5 states that border Mexico have experienced local mosquito transmission of Zika. Infections are the leading cause of death in nursing homes. A new report says many facilities are not doing enough to prevent drug-resistant bacteria from spreading. Public health researchers looked into nursing home infection prevention programs in Tennessee and Washington State. They found many infection control managers had little to no formal training, spent less than 13 hours a week on prevention activities, and less than half of the facilities checked if staff was using equipment properly.
Coming up on KOMU8 News at 6 o'clock, we're live in Belleville, Illinois, outside the home of the Washington, D.C. area shooting suspect.
And Missouri's congressional delegation responds to the attack. Hear what they have to say at 6.
All right, and right now, Rosalind tomorrow.
That's our time for now. Thanks for joining us.